You see my shirt I bought? Nick and I went to an event at the DAC a few weeks ago, and was it the girl on stage who was wearing it, or
The private equity.
The private equity. This young executive for a private equity firm, and man, she was sharp. But she had the shirt on. I'm like, man, where did she get that from? So I looked it up. In the thing, I found it, and I bought me a T-shirt. And
Make America Detroit
again. That's sweet. That's good. And this was a response to Trump having some disparaging things to say about Detroit. And a company here, they like spun these T-shirts up the next day or something. So it's a good conversation starter because
you're like, which way is that?
Which way is that?
What is that?
Yeah, you don't, who are you? Who do you claim?
Totally.
I claim Detroit. I told my sister last night, I was talking to her, and I'm like, man, do you realize in 2 more years, I would have lived in Michigan longer than I lived in Florida.
Man, that's how quick.
Born and raised in Florida.
Yep.
Can't really claim being a Floridian
Not
anymore.
in 2 years, you can't.
2 lives, on to your third.
Touche.
Yeah.
On to your third. Yeah, man. It's time to do the third. Morning, man.
Morning. Today, we're talking about senior marketing.
Senior
I'm really
marketing.
excited about it.
Yeah, there's man, we've been doing this for 16 years now as an agency, and found our way working for a lot of different verticals, a lot of different industries, some really cool companies, but in particular, senior marketing to seniors. We're at a time in history where in this country there are more seniors, more people who are aging than ever, right? And there's a wave of our fellow citizens that are buying a lot of things. And so if you're a company that is trying to have that conversation with them, market to them, sell to them, there's a lot of new considerations for that. And in particular, senior living, right? Where does mom or dad need to move into so that they are still thriving, still enjoying life in their latter years? And so we've found ourselves as a growth marketing agency working with senior living operators and helping them do a better job at that communication or that sales process of helping those folks choose a place to live in. Been really interesting for us. A lot of learning, a lot of experimentation, a lot of wins, some losses, but really insightful for us. And I think it really speaks to the importance of having this multi-pronged apparatus that a marketing team, a sales team, an operations team can benefit from. So we should talk about that a little bit, what that means, what it looks like, what companies, operators should be thinking about, because our customer today, all of us, we expect a different experience. The way we buy, certainly the way our senior neighbors buy, is different than what it was, just 10 years ago.
Yeah, right on. I think one of the biggest things like that I always come back to is just the simple fact of when you talk about consumer behavior and you talk about specifically, I'm glad that we're kind of drilling into a niche, drilling into an industry, because we can be really specific about that industry. But, this is an industry that you're dealing with baby boomers who are typically the children of the folks that are moving into a community, or you're actually talking to the people moving into a facility, and which are going to be your kind of World War II era folks. What is that? The last great generation or the greatest generation, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's kind of very interesting about the last 10 years is how much more savvy this audience has become. These guys are a lot I'm speaking, of course, I'm speaking digitally, but I'm also speaking with how their expectations have changed on what their expectations are with the people that they work with or the companies that they work with. And I think that's the piece that a lot of owner operators are struggling with and have been struggling with a little bit over the last few years of like how to accommodate that changing behavior of their target audience and their loved ones. And that's what I hope we can get into a little bit today.
Yeah. Every brand aspires to deliver on some type of promise. And it's easy to allow the tactical things that are necessary to function as a business to get in the way or to paralyze you from that promise or delivering on that promise. And when we think of senior living operators, both of us have young kids, and I love the comparison in my own head of what it was like to choose childcare, right, as a parent, to find somewhere that I felt comfortable putting my daughter in, knowing that she was going to be okay during that day, that there was going to be something that she left every day with that she didn't have before she got there, that me and her mom felt good about her experience there. And I think it's true in senior, right? As an adult child of aging parents, you want to make sure that your parent is thriving, that they are in a good place, that they're going to be well taken care of. And so for an operator, there are those considerations that they're committed to. And so they have to balance that with, well, how do I maintain that promise, maintain that level of commitment, and still do what's necessary to market to my customer, to make sure that my sales team is armed and doing what they need to do to close business. Because at the end of the day, it's a business. And so that's where I think there is such an opportunity for the conversation to evolve the same way these savvy customers have evolved. You have to change the experience so that we're meeting them where they are, meeting them where their comfort level is in creating a list of consideration, right? Getting the intel that they need to get. So as marketers, we're on the hook now to do a better job at providing that experience, to make it easier for the sales team and operations team to deliver on that brand promise, but also deliver on the business goals.
And that's the thing I think I see a lot is like for these owner operators, there's no doubt that the operators that are in business, for the most part, there's bad apples everywhere. But you get into this business because you love people. I mean, you love caring for people. So 9.99 times out of 10, these operators, when you move someone in, it's a great experience for them. It's awesome. They're not going to move out because they get mad. The facility is going to do what they're supposed to do in terms of care, in terms of safety, in terms of nutrition. All of that's cool. The hard part, where they're behind these owner operators, are what to do to get them to the door.
Yeah.
What should we be doing to get them to the door? That is the struggle that these guys have, because we know if you don't hit occupancy numbers, these businesses can go backwards very, very quickly. It's not cheap to run a senior living facility. So if you don't have your occupancy numbers in line, you don't have a pipeline following that,
right?
Because change happens. Change is happening. You need a constant flow of new tours and new deposits, new lease agreements that are coming in at all times. And to build that funnel, to build that system is extremely difficult today. I think a majority of the reason is because I'd say over 90% of the interactions now are put on the shoulders of sales teams. There's really still very much a disconnect between the activity a marketing team does and the activity a sales team does. And while we preach a lot about that integration, about not siloing these things, which that's the holy grail, there's still a lot of things both marketing teams should be doing and sales teams that should be doing that aren't the same as what they have been doing. We work with salespeople all the time, and it's really clear what their KPIs are. Closed business, right? I mean, if you're a salesperson, you might have some leading indicators like your pipeline and how many contacts have you made this week or any of the number of kind of leading indicators. But at the end of the day, you're looking for closed business. I think that becomes very challenging when a majority of the consumers today don't want to engage with a salesperson the way that they used to engage with and not just a salesperson, but people in general. I don't think that the consumer today, all of that work that we used to be able to put on the lap of a sales guy and say, hey, give it to Mike. Because as soon as Mike talks to him and Mike works him, he is the man. And that's true. You're just getting way less at bats than you used to get. You're not getting as many opportunities to even let yourself shine.
Yeah.
Because the way that everybody's consuming media or content, shall we say, is not through the old school interactions of phone calls and tours. I think it puts these senior communities in this spot where they have to share a lot more on the front end than they're comfortable with. I think it puts facilities operators and owners. I think it puts operators and owners of senior living communities in a very scared position about the all of the information that they have to give up front before they talk to someone.
I think that position too, it comes out of either not knowing, right, or not trusting that ability to have both an empathetic approach to marketing, but also a very transparent approach in that marketing. Because at the end of the day, marketing exists to do a good job communicating what it is you believe the value or benefit your product or service can provide.
And bring them to the door, right?
Yeah.
Maybe not buy, right? But bring them to the door. No matter what it was, it's, hey, I don't know how much he's going to spend. I like talking to Tina about this with the auto biz. We'll get him to your lot, but we can't
Sell the car.
We can't sell the car for you.
Yeah.
And that's very much what marketing is. At least bring them to the door. I think it's putting these operators though in a tough spot, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to put sales on the hook for when you can't get the connection that you used to be able to get. And I'm really talking through face-to-face and phone calls.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk a little bit then about this connection that marketing is trying to create with that adult child or that senior. With all of the channels now that exist, we've done a lot of work on understanding customer behavior and what these users are doing now when they engage with content or a specific channel. So I know for a lot of operators, there is a lot of trepidation around releasing control of their content online, particularly arming the end user with questions or perspectives that seemingly puts the sales team in the dark or in the corner.
And they think at a disadvantage. We've been seeing this, Mike, since we started. Us working primarily with B2B companies, this B2B thing, a lot of similarities with senior living.
Yeah.
You've got a user buyer, economic buyer, technical buyer. You got a coach. There's a lot of opinions. You got sons, you got daughters. You may have a brother or sister. The guy moving in, brother or sis may be still alive that has an opinion about things.
Yeah.
All of these guys, and B2B, it's so funny that B2B does this as well. Our audience doesn't understand this stuff. They don't really know about it. They don't really care about it. So you can't talk about any of this stuff because we need to leave it up to the sales guy to do that on the fly in real time because we'll just confuse them. This is the price. I'm always a big on show your price, show everything, show virtual tours, show your pricing, put everything up front. In retail, you have no choice. You have to do that. If you're a consumer-facing brand, B2C, you have to show your price. I mean, that's like going to the grocery store and you only know the price at the checkout. B2B is way different. Since you're having conversations with people, you have the choice of when to introduce price. And most are still stuck on the let's paint these walls up. Let's show them the entryway. Let's show them how great everything is at the beginning. After we walk them through the house, then we'll tell them what the price is. And I think that's starting to backfire, at least with consumers. Because now it's like, okay, I'm coming, and I'm talking about a website. I'm coming to your website. You're giving me next to nothing in some cases. And this isn't just senior. This is other organizations, other B2B companies we work with. You want my coveted information so you can have a dialogue with me, but I'm not ready to have a dialogue with you yet. So what's happened is you're kind of putting your audience, you're shrinking it way down only to the people with a quote unquote bleeding neck or urgent need. You're only talking to the people that need a solution right this second. Well, we know that's only 15, 20% of the total audience. If you can be that resource, this is what I love, the Marcus Sheridan book. They ask, you answer. This is his whole shtick, is give them everything. Let them self-identify what they're looking for you to prove it. And sorry, now, do I think salespeople can still lead that narrative? Absolutely. Yeah. It's just now you're doing it in a video format rather than a coffee shop or in someone's house or in your facility. You have to put that out. And that's what I think, certainly in the senior space, they're super scared of being that transparent because they're worried that the audience isn't going to understand what it is and what it means and how it works. And, the senior space, I think historically has been that. I think they've come a long way in the last couple of years. They certainly in the last year have made a concerted effort to move into this, even with how they price and how care is being provided, a much more open market, transparent environment. But this was clouded in fees before that. You didn't really want to explain all this stuff out. And I think consumers are changing on that of like, what are you giving me up front that I can go off to be put? I'm trying to put you on the list of consideration. Help me do that. Don't turn me away by the only way I can be on the list is if we're going on a tour tomorrow.
Yeah. It's a very reactive posture though, because you're right. The reason it's changing so fast, market is demanding the change.
Yes.
Right. Now I'm demanding as a consumer, someone looking for a facility, to know all the things that I care about ahead of time, or I'm not going to talk to you. I'm going to go to the next guy who is going to give me that information up front.
I did a little sample, about a month ago, I'd say. I did a little secret shopping, and I did the top 2, what I think are the top 2 referral sites for senior housing. In both instances, Company A, I was called every 2 hours for 24 hours straight. Now, they didn't call me after 8 p.m. and didn't call me again until, let's say, 9 a.m. the next day. But once that 24-hour automated phone, and I never answered the phone one time. This was, 12 phone calls, no joke, maybe 8 phone calls. I didn't answer any of them. They never left a message. That was it. After that 24-hour timeline, it was over. Company B incorporated some text messages, same approach. I think they lasted for 48 hours. After I went 48 hours with no contact, they never reached out to me again. And this is the issue. This is the problem. That if you're not hot now, this is what I think the industry struggles with. If you're not hot now, you don't matter. If you're not ready to move in the next 30 days, we don't really want to talk to you. And I think that ends up backfiring, certainly costs you more when you're going to fish in those ponds, catch another, rather than establish a meaningful relationship or resource, establish a good resource for your end user or their loved ones. There's no appetite.
So we know that channels now like Facebook or YouTube are critical components now to continuing the conversation that you want to have with your customer without the voice-to-voice being there. And, to your 30-day scenario, if everyone was looking to move in to a facility in 30 days, you probably would have less reliance on marketing. But industry average is 120 plus days
Yep.
before someone is ready to move in. And so from that initial inquiry to the time that they're actually ready to move in, where are you in the conversation? That's the question that operators have to ask themselves. Are you still having an active conversation with that customer? And usually the answer is no, because you stopped at the very beginning of the inquiry.
Well, and that beginning of the inquiry, when they inquire, they're already let's say 30 days into their 120-day timeline. They've already been scoping for 30 days. Now they're reaching out, and that's the short-sightedness, I think, of and I get it too. Like part of this, we're in it's the real estate game as well. This is lease, this is apartment, right? Like you have to fill buildings. That is crucial to the business staying solvent. So that appetite to make sure your pipeline's constantly flowing is very, very important. But I think it's getting overshadowed or trumped by you already paid for it, the inquiry. Why aren't you holding on to it? I was blown away that, the amount of money that these organizations pay, certainly in senior living, to get an inquiry. $300, $600, right? These aren't cheap inquiries. To throw them away after 48 hours of non-responsiveness because they didn't pick up your phone call or respond to your text message, I think is a huge miss when, like, I like joking about is like put another $15 insurance policy on it, right? Like you already spent $600. It's not going to cost all that much more to nurture this guy for a year.
Yeah.
And not many know, and it is because of the fight between sales and marketing.
Yeah.
I think a lot of marketing teams, certainly in-house, sorry to say, but certainly in-house, there isn't that looking around the corner. There isn't the opportunity for them to generate maybe some ideas that they do want to have come to life is very difficult to get through, very difficult to get launched or activated. Then and why? Because you're going up against leadership that doesn't really understand it and a sales team who's taking credit for the revenue. So CEO, who am I talking to? Who am I listening to? I'm listening to my sales team. My sales team's giving me this insight. Marketing's doing their thing that's supposed to be supporting sales. But when I have questions, I'm going to the sales team. How come we haven't hit? What is it going to take to get this? How is this looking? And I think it does put the sales squad in that, hey, marketing, give me my leads. Give me my leads. I'll nurture these the way I nurture these. I'm going to close my close rate and just give me the leads. I don't want to self-identify. I don't want my audience to self-identify. They don't have to learn everything about our organization. Give me enough to have a meaningful conversation. I think that's where I'm hot on. The what is enough to have a meaningful conversation is a lot more than it used to be.
Yeah.
In the old days, we talk about this. In the old days, man, give us a text ad and an LP, and we've got a meaningful you got a good shot of having a meaningful conversation. Now, though, no, it is not that. You need multiple points of interest. You need to check boxes. You need to make sure the target understand, the target feels heard, that you understand. We were talking this morning and you said, depending on care type. Well, our audience doesn't really know what care type means. Explain it to them.
Yeah.
Explain what care type means and let them take their best shot at it. You can clarify it later, but they want to do this independent online research by themselves before they go and talk or engage with salespeople, with organizations. And we're not giving consumers today enough tools to be able to do that. So when they call, you are talking to a much lower probability sale than you otherwise would be talking to if they were able to self-identify themselves a little bit. And that self-identification phase is so closely held in sales in sales teams that they don't trust their consumers to be able to do it on their own.
Yeah.
And that's the issue.
Interesting stat that when we talk about that demo, that specific audience, more than 83% of them are actively on social platforms. So there is a megaphone that a lot of operators are leaving on the sideline and
Yeah.
not utilizing
Yeah.
to continue the conversation, to be able to give or expound on the value proposition that they believe they can provide to that customer. Email, this same audience, they are infatuated with checking their email. They check email every day.
And open
And
every
open.
single email they
Yes.
get.
And so for operators who don't have that channel in their toolkit of continuing the conversation, continuing to prime that potential customer for the sales team, it's a missed opportunity. And this is where I think there's a great arms race, if you will, for operators, because the guys who do this now will be the guys who win.
Yes. And it is kind of shocking a little. And, certainly, if I were a salesperson, straight up a salesperson, and that's what I did. And, obviously it's what I do a lot of. But if that was my only goal, the worst meetings I'm taking are the ones where I don't know anything about the user.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And we get these. I get these. Hey, hey, Mike, I'm going to go have lunch with so-and-so today. What are you talking about? I don't know. I have no idea. He said he's got it happened the other day. Hey, I got a couple new ideas. I want to run them by you. Okay. Come on. Let's talk. And of course I do, because I'm a sales guy and I'm looking for every opportunity I can.
Yeah.
But I would take one of those I'd rather not take 10 of those to take one that says, hey, I'm looking for a new website, man. Or I'm looking to start generating some serious traffic to my website. Can you help me? I would much rather talk to those guys. I think the same way with sales, and I'm not sure why it hasn't gone over that hump of wouldn't you rather know as a senior living salesperson that, hey, this is for her mom. This is child of loved one. It's daughter. There's 3 kids. The care type, she's got early onset dementia happening. She's going to need memory care. Don't send her, and this is what happens. This is what sales and marketing not communicating between each other. When marketing comes and says, I want to send this 12 email drip campaign to everybody that fills out an inquiry, sales team goes, no. We don't want to talk about your example. I don't care about the
tennis courts
on the thing for my mother that's coming. So if you send me an email about your upgraded tennis courts, and my mom ain't getting out of the wheelchair, you're coming off kind of like a jerk.
Yeah.
Now and that's got the opposite effect on this. Instead of addressing the important things of what you guys do in your facility for your memory care unit.
That's a good segue, because we know that for an operator to maintain this commitment to the promise that they're trying to deliver, right? A place where mom or dad can live, thrive, avoid loneliness, etc. The responsibility that they have is to build some level of trust with their potential prospect or customer. And these barriers that exist, be it not knowing what you don't know, right, in your marketing or sales effort, not knowing some of the tools that are available to remove a lot of the ambiguity, is a big problem for operators. And now, when we say senior living operator, that's maybe too much of an inside baseball term, owner operator. Most of these guys have a salesperson or sales team and a marketing group that's doing a lot of stuff. And some of that stuff is in support of the everyday needs of the facility itself, creating collateral, supporting events, supporting the sales team, and oftentimes the work necessary for nurturing the prospect or waving the flag of who we are to our audience to be able to cut through the noise or to differentiate ourselves from our competition gets pushed in the corner. And you lose the ability to build that trust that you're trying to create. So being able to create content that does that for you, that works on your behalf to do that, educational content that talks about the differences of care or the considerations that someone needs to have in their thinking when making this decision. This is a hard decision, right? This is not
gosh,
this is not an easy
for
buy,
everybody.
right? This is a very touchy, sensitive,
And everybody's sensitive for a different reason too.
right. So the work necessary for the operator to convey that no longer can be solely relied on that the sales team is going to do that.
Well, not as long as the consumer has an apprehension to talk to salespeople. It used to be. Hey, and this is where I think the growth from the referral sites came from. Great. An unbiased,
quote unquote,
view
yeah.
that is going to help me walk through because I have no idea what the heck is going on. I have no clue. So we're going to get this guy or gal. They're going to come in and help us work through what the options are. And what a great idea. I'm saying everybody's got that opportunity now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that to be able to do for their user. Give them everything.
And not only opportunity, responsibility. Because if you don't, you'll be lapped.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the arms race piece of this. Because of how sophisticated this decision is for the customer, operators are often really sensitive about how they steward that decision, right? That journey. How are we making sure we're walking shoulder to shoulder with this adult child or with this family who's having to make this decision so that they see us as reputable, credible, that they see us as someone who can give them some sense of peace, confidence in the decision they're making. And marketing, I think historically, has not done a good job of proving that they can do that, right?
You didn't have to. Get them to the door. And it was so easy to get them to the door. 2 pieces of content. We should get some stats on that. That would be really interesting to see. Like, how many pieces of content did you need to see to fill out a form 10 years ago? How many pieces of content do you need to see today to fill out a form?
Yeah.
Because that's what we're talking about. And you said 10 years. I mean, even 8, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID was only 4 years ago. Seems like longer sometimes. But even that, 4 years ago, that changed big time overnight how we talk to each other. We never thought before COVID that we would have virtual, and virtual existed.
Yeah.
But we didn't think of it the way that we think of it now.
Well, and certainly when you start talking about making a buying decision.
Oh my gosh. It's acceptable now. It wasn't acceptable. You wouldn't do that.
No.
Before drop $1,000 on anything.
1,000. People are buying cars sight unseen, man.
Stopping at the vending machine and picking them up.
Yeah.
And you're able to do that. I think it certainly speaks to how consumers and what consumers have more faith in what they read, right? Before it was, oh my gosh, I got to talk to somebody. Now it's, you want to dispute your Comcast bill or your DTE energy bill, like, go to the chat, man. Yeah. You want to sit on the phone for 45 minutes? Yeah. No, let's get a chat, open the window, and...
I send a tweet.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's got a really quick response, I'm sure.
Right? It's like, hey, I got a problem here. Then you're getting a call. So yeah, the ability now for the operator to have that level of trust from the prospect, because that's still so important, there is a gap in how that trust is being formed.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of that for us as consumers, this is all of us, we put a lot of stake in what someone is saying online. Right? We put a lot of credibility in the information that you are providing to me or not. I form an opinion on how credible you are based on what you are arming me with.
And the best part about that Sheridan book is that he says in there, everyone plays this game of don't share, don't tell. Let's get the inquiry and we'll do the work ourselves in a room, a controlled environment. And everybody's excuse or the reason that they do that is they say, I don't want to be commoditized. I don't want to become a commodity. Well, the sick joke about that is by not doing it,
This is exactly what
you
you're doing.
are the commodity.
Yeah.
By not giving virtual tours, by not having profiles of your salespeople, by not allowing people to see how much you are, what kind of care you have, what that care type means, how you can transition from each. By not opening all of those things up to consumers, you are just like everybody else.
Yeah.
And that's what I get jacked about of like the opportunity here for owners, operators to leapfrog.
The X factor that I believe exists now, we talk about often in, certainly in the agency space, there's an arms race on this, is data. Because the more insight you have on who your customer is and what they care about, the easier it is for you to personalize your communication. And that is still a big, important factor for operators.
And so
right?
far behind on that.
Yeah,
right? And,
yeah.
And there's your scalability too, right? If you really want to, two things, operate out of systems, then you can start scaling it.
Right.
And, you got to have a few facilities for that to make sense for you, right? You got to have a few. You got to have a marketing team. You got to have a sales team. And once that happens, that's paramount. That's where you get a 1% improvement on a conversion rate.
And it doubles your rev.
And it doubles rev.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is so there's a disconnect. There's definitely a gap on, one, gaining access to that data, right? I think operators are still struggling with, well, how do I even get it? That's part one. And then part two, what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Right? I have some visibility to this data. How do I use it? How do I put it into my marketing efforts, my sales efforts? And this is where we've had a lot of cool success with refining what the roles and responsibilities are for a salesperson and a marketing person. Because now that I have some data on who these folks are and what they care about and what their behaviors are, we can divide and conquer.
Yes.
Now I can put sales on the hook for a very refined set of activities. Same with marketing, have transparency on all of
The
it,
whole way through.
right? And now we can start to scrutinize what's working, what's not working, where do we need to double down, where do we have some holes or some deficiencies. And that, every operator, every business leader, business owner wants that. But there is this gap in getting the data and then knowing what to do with it.
And, that's a piece too. Once you have that and these systems and these processes are set up that way, it makes it really easy to turn the dial up. It makes it really easy to go and acquire or build and put them into these proven lead gen, lead nurturing, lead closing systems.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
That's the dream. That's what you want to have happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without that, you are relying on successful salespeople, and you are losing when you have bad salespeople. You have great sales team, right? There's now, with that being said, you have a great sales team, small. You got 3 salespeople, and they're all amazing. They're not as amazing as they were 5 years ago.
Right.
That's just not the same way. Not if they're acting the same way they were 3 years ago. Now, if these 3 salespeople, I would argue that if there are 3 great salespeople, they've got some great content of themselves online. They're integrated to some degree with their marketing team. They know who's coming into them, who they're bringing in. all of those things would help. But if you don't have that, you are taking a crapshoot every time you hire a salesperson now on how good is their ability going to be to get someone on the horn and to get them into your building for a tour. It's a much more of a liability. It's a very, very risky investment versus staple customer journeys of we know what our customer's looking for. I know, sales guy, you're excited. You want to talk to them really, really bad. They don't want to talk to you yet. Don't worry. Our data says they're going to be ready to talk to you in about 45 days. Work on these. That's the game.
Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, we're going to incubate them.
Yep. We're going to keep them warm. We're going to let them hear about what they want to hear about. We're going to track what they're consuming and what they're not.
Yeah.
So when you do get a call, when they call you, you don't call them. When they call you, you'll have their persona. You'll have what they care about most.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
how cool would it be for a salesperson to avoid the first 3 to 5 minutes of a conversation building a profile?
Yes.
To already have the profile. And instead use that time to build a connection.
I did this. I was telling you about the investment firm. I'm not going to say who it is, but it's a huge investment company. And I saw a commercial on TV and they were like, scan this QR code. So I went on there. Okay, I scanned the QR code. It went right to a contact form.
Yeah.
Name, email, rev, no. Net worth, some sort of money question. City, state, phone number. That's it. Dude calls me back 2 or 3 days later, and he is laying it on. Hey, Nick. Talking to me like he knows me. Talking to me like we've talked before. Hey, Nick, what up? It's Jim. I'm just looking over your file here. He said that. I'm looking over your file here. I got to tell you, I think you're a great fit with us. You are a great fit with us. Let me send you a packet in the mail describing what this looks like and how it's going to work. And I said, no problem. Send the packet. Got a packet a few days later. Called me again after I got the packet. So another week goes by. Yeah, Nick, you got my packet, right? Yeah, I think you are going to be great here. I'd like to set up our call to like get this rolling, the enrollment call or whatever, and really get this going. And I said no and no thank you. But talking about feeling dirty, man. Talking about like big deal too. We're talking about money.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And you're making me feel like I've given you information that I haven't given you yet. You know things about me. You are talking to me like you know me. You're talking like you've studied me in some capacity. He didn't know me from Adam. He didn't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
And when you do that, it was I 180'd on it. I saw the commercials. I like the commercials. I've heard of these guys forever and ever. There is some exclusivity to this, right? They have minimums that you have to have. All two cool check boxes on a buyer.
Yeah.
And that sales guy ruined it. And I don't blame him. I blame the process, the framework that he's working out of. He didn't know. He's trying to hit his number. He doesn't even know. He's taking part in the thing that he was set up with. And that is so detrimental. I'll never work with him.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in 10 years from now, I don't know what it would take.
Probably not. Though.
Probably not.
Yeah. And that is the biggest fear, certainly in a industry like senior living.
We're not talking about money. We're talking about lives now.
Yes. So, money's maybe in the second close,
yeah,
right?
Totally.
We're talking about my money.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about my loved one,
oh my gosh.
The only thing that matters or that should matter is your ability to create some level of trust or confidence.
If they would have placed your money would be a good fit here with your mother and had the same attitude, I probably would have gave him a piece of my mind.
Yeah.
I didn't do it on that with this guy, but I'd probably write a review, of I don't know what kind of racket these guys are pulling, but
well, and I think that really kind of capstones the problem that we see that a lot of operators are faced with. They are paralyzed with the idea of implementing some of these
self-identification.
Yeah, these marketing experiences, these tools that would level up,
educate
right?
their buyer.
Yeah, they're paralyzed from doing that because of fear that we're going to break our promise, right? Someone's going to have an experience that's going to do the opposite of what we're trying to do, and instead, the work is rolling your sleeves up and figuring out how marketing and sales work together to be able to have a cohesive experience, right? An experience that your customer is demanding, right? So we're not trying to create some futuristic thing that nobody has done before. No, there's an expectation now from your customer that there is a seamless experience from the very first impression all the way through that closed business.
My favorite example, I stole this activity, shall we say, recommendation. Go to your sales team. Ask them to give you the top 6 to 12 questions that they get asked every single time on that first sales call. Come back to the office and make a video about each one of them and answer the question to your best of your ability. Now, our buddy Philip Strutz kind of let us in on the, interested versus committed.
Yeah.
Now, of all the times that I've given that recommendation, I haven't seen it come out yet. So a lot of guys being interested that weren't fully committed to it. But those are the things now.
Yeah.
And for some, that's a hard reality to come to, of like, what?
Yeah.
I've got to put it up on the internet?
Yeah.
For all my competition to see?
Yeah. 3 things, Nick, that we believe any operator today could start to do differently to improve the customer experience, right? Synchronize their marketing and sales without compromising the promise or the commitment that they're trying to make to the customer. And we talked about this a little bit this morning. Some of these seem like no-brainers, but we're always surprised by how little these are implemented in the clients we work with. Number one, being able to really take advantage of implementing some sort of CRM. I was talking with someone on the team this morning, and we were debating the differences between CRMs. Which CRM is the best? And at the end of it, I said, it's really the wrong question. The better question is, do you have one? Right? Even if it's a spreadsheet could be a CRM, right? But something that is managing the activity and the where are we with this relationship that we're trying to create.
With every single person that engages with your organization.
Exactly.
Every single person. Until they tell you, stop calling me. I don't want to talk to you. I'm doing something else. I've unsubscribed from your emails.
Right.
Thank you. I'm all set. Until that happens. And that is very, very rare, by the way. No. People hate saying no.
Yeah.
So you're not telling me that half of your database are people that have said no to you. No chance. Could they be out of market? Yes, perhaps. But did you get a stop contacting me? Very, very rare that that's happening.
And that speaks to the benefit, because if you are investing any amount of capital in your marketing, any type of funds into your marketing.
It's your insurance policy.
Yeah, you want to know what's going on with it, right? What did we get for it?
Yes.
And so having that CRM, some type of database, gives you visibility to what we're getting, what do we have. It gives you some cross visibility for teams, right? So now, not only does sales team know what that looks like, marketing team knows what that looks like. Oh, so you had 2 conversations with that guy? Great. This is a tactic that we use to get that guy. We need to go do that again. It supports operations. Operation now sees, hey, this type of customer that we have, they do really well with the services we're providing. Go close more like that.
Yeah.
right? So now everyone has visibility to where the wins are, where the challenges are, and it makes you more dangerous in decisions that you need to make as a business, as an operator. Second, and I love how you said earlier, lead generation, lead nurturing, lead closing. When you really think about that, and maybe a fourth one would be lead operating. Right now, you that lead has turned or has matured into an actual customer.
Lead advocacy is what you're looking for.
There you go. Yeah. So the second piece of having some sort of lead nurturing system in place.
I would say, not hearing number 3 yet, that is huge because it's an untapped. We already know seniors open every single email they get. They open every email. Not doing that, and we see what others are doing too.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So as soon as you give me a shred, if I got another financial company that made me feel an inch taller than what the other one did, that's a big win. That's a huge win for me. And that's what the industry is going through right now. I think that's the opportunity that the industry has.
And again, to not
operators, facilities have.
To not be too insensitive to the paralysis, because the reason most of these guys don't do it is for fear that what we say in that email or in that communication is going to be different than the communication that a voice-to-voice conversation or a tour might actually have.
And the reason that they're scared is because they don't know. And the reason that they don't know is because they're not telling everybody. They're only telling the people that come in and talk to the salespeople. If that doesn't happen, they're never going to know what the real scenario is until they talk. And you're right. Once it goes over to sales, I talk to them. I know what Jen's going through. I know exactly what it is. Don't send her that BS marketing stuff.
Yeah.
Well, you are at a great advantage, sales guy now. Way better than what we could do as marketers. You've talked to them.
Yeah.
You've heard their pains. Until you're able to drive that out of them at the front end, which is what they want. They want to be able to share this stuff. Give them the opportunity to do that, then you can nurture them properly. If you're not doing that, you'll never be able to nurture them properly.
Yeah, that rolling up your sleeves.
Tennis court emails.
And that's why it's so important to dig in and do the work.
Yes.
Right? Not to shy away from it. And what's been really interesting to see the last few years is the marketplace is very forgiving. We as consumers, we are very forgiving on content that we get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the number of grammatical errors that you see in really popular publications is astounding.
You know what I get a lot too? The reacted emails. Send an email. Oops.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Guys, we sent this. Our mistake. A decade ago, that would be like, oh my gosh, look what they did.
Heads are rolling, man.
And, part of the reason for that was that 14 people reviewed the email before it went out, and they probably spent a ton of cash on making it.
Yeah.
I think it might be a little different now. But yes, we are very forgiving. No problem. That's just another day in decent of them. It almost does you more good.
Yeah.
Oh man, these guys made a mistake.
Yeah.
They're real.
There's a balance here, right? You should not
sloppy. We're not talking sloppy here.
Shouldn't be spraying emails and social posts with no focus, right? With no deliberate intention. And these are tools now that are available to us, allow us to both be intentional, be deliberate, but also careful, right? And personable. So having some type of lead nurturing that is in the mix of how you are moving your pipeline. And then third, and I think most important nowadays, is this ability to understand the data that you're gaining access to and then utilize it, right? How do you get access to the data that is driving decisions that are going to make you a better operator?
And there's two ways to do it. Asking the consumer, at the front end or demanding it comes from the sales folk. I don't see either happening today. Should it? Yes. Is it? No. Either get that info from your consumer or hold your sales squad accountable to give that information.
Yeah.
And that's, I think the sales part of that is so hard, man. That is so hard to get that info from sales folk.
Yeah, I think this would be a great debate. That's probably another conversation because I think it's a lot easier today than people realize.
Oh, I say get it from the get-go.
This is where marketing has the most potential to be valuable because our job should be to tee up our sales team to the very best possibility, right? To arm them to the teeth with everything they need to close the business, win or lose, right? You don't want to spend your time chasing a loss. If it's a loss, let's get to that loss quick.
I think about it sometimes. Like I should do the undercover job. You know that show, Undercover Boss, I think it is. I should go and be a sales guy. I think I would be the number one sales guy in the country.
Why?
Because I would digitize. All of my content would be ready, all available before anyone met me. The only thing I would be doing 8 hours a day, 6 days a week would be giving tours and following up with people that I gave tours to. That's it. That's all I'd be doing. Everything else, all those phone conversations, all those texts, all those emails would all be happening without me lifting a finger, and I would be dedicated fully. I would be able to tour 4x what anybody else could tour because I wouldn't have to do all that front end work that all these salespeople are doing now. My marketing, I'd be doing it digitally. It'd be happening. The content exists, but I'm not doing it one at a time. I'm doing it at scale.
What do you say to the operator who says, that's not how my customer buys?
I'd say you don't know your customer. Which I've said that plenty of times.
Yeah.
A little nicer, but.
Yeah. Well, certainly the pudding has proven that for us in our experience. And I think the correlation between a B2B company and a senior living operator is scary. It's scarily similar. And we've seen the proof of if you can create some autonomy, some automation in how you are meeting people, communicating with people at scale, makes it much easier to make decisions about how the business grows.
It goes back, like, I would much rather give a tour to someone who's already watched a video of me giving a tour than someone who hasn't. Because if they watch the video of me giving a tour and don't like me, don't like the building, don't like the halls, don't like my voice, don't like my look, doesn't like the vibe, cool, don't come in. Save me the tour. That's a hard reality and a hard statement,
man,
when you're building occupancy. But at scale, when you really look at the numbers on it, it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Of course, I would close double. Whatever, it's 40 you're doing good. I'd be at 60. No question about it.
This has been a good conversation.
Yeah.
The lead nurturing.
Thanks, Mike. Good job.
Lead gen, lead advocacy. Love that. We'll keep this conversation going. Thanks for listening to us. Michael Taylor here.
Nick Skizlak.
Take care.
Have a great day. Thank you.